Hello.
Good evening, Losang.
Good evening, Noah.
Anila.
Ariella and Elisheva and then this I cannot read.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
I have a funny feeling. I don't know you in person. I always know you I only know you by Zoom. But because I know that you're in Israel, you feel closer.
Right.
And it's the same Zoom.
Yeah.
Just feels closer.
Maybe, yeah, that's another illusion.
Maybe the energy. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right. I'm a bit sick. So we'll see how it goes, yeah. No, also it's coughing. Are you? Are you also coughing? No, no.
I had the flu, but now it's over.
Okay. How long did it last?
Oh, a week or something, a long one.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, usually it lasts a week, doesn't it? Mine started last Sunday afternoon. So now it's already half, maybe. Okay, so dinner is coming, so we can start slowly, slowly, with, of course, meditation, as we always do, to calm the mind, to bring the mind here, and then when the mind is calm, to do some reflection. So if you can, then, maybe we should wait a few more minutes that people are here. Hello, Netta.
Hi, Anila. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm not well. What to say?
Wow.
I have a cold and headache and sore throat and cough, and but it's okay. I mean, it's okay. It's not okay, but it's okay.
It's COVID?
No, it's not. I don't think so. Well, we did some self-tests. They both said no, so then I guess it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, in the morning it's usually better. In the evening it gets worse.
So maybe you should rest, Anila.
I wanted to suggest that, and I didn't know if it's the right
maybe
thing.
just an hour, because the plan is actually, you see, the thing is, when I leave Israel, I will be moving around quite a bit. And also I will be leading retreats, meaning some of them are more than a week long in Europe. So I will find it very difficult to continue with these Wednesday evenings because it's, you cannot lead a retreat and then say to the people in the retreat, oh no, tonight's no session because I have to do Shantideva. But what I was thinking, we can finish the 7th chapter while I'm here in Israel, because today we still have 4 evenings. And then when I come back in, because it looks as if I'm coming back in September for 3 months then, as usual, then we can do the 8th chapter on, maybe 2 or 3 weekends, not one after the other, but during these 3 months I have to discuss it with Shachar. On Zoom, but also Zoom, and also if people want to come, we'll see how it goes. So we can then because the 8th chapter is quite long, but it's a very important chapter because it talks about hello. It talks about meditation, of course, concentration, but then it's also this whole part about exchanging self for others. Yeah, so like about Tonglen. So then, so I thought then we can do maybe on 2 weekends in September or in October, and then we kind of finished with the text anyway. And because the 9th chapter, you had teachings by Geshe Dorje Damdrul. So I'm not capable of teaching the 9th chapter because you need to know all the other Indian philosophies that Shantideva is comparing. So I can't do that. So then with the 8th chapter, then it would be, the text would be basically finished. So like this. And then you can always go back to it. It's really good to have this text, because the Dalai Lama is he's traveling with this text. Actually, he always has it with him. And Geshe Tashi says very often when he is waiting in an airport or somewhere, he takes out the text and he reads a few verses. Although, you know, all the Tibetans know this text by heart, because it's a practice text, right? And it's like, you might have seen, you know, when we have arguments, no, but when we have discussions like, yeah, but what about it? If you know the text, it has the right verses for whatever state your mind is in, either you're totally depressed or totally over enthusiastic also. So then you know how to take care of it. And you know which verse you should use if you want to use an antidote for your bodhicitta who has gone a little bit slack. Now, of course, you know, if you think bodhicitta is far too high, then what you can do, you can just pull out the verses that speak to you, and the rest you just leave out. I mean, this is another possibility. Yeah, when you find that, oh no, this is too harsh and it's too, you know, it's too pushing and all this, because he wants to attain enlightenment really, really quickly. So then when you think, oh no, this is not for me, then you have to maybe revise your bodhicitta and, you know. But then again, you know, when we talk about bodhicitta, it's always this thing, people think that they should be able to do it. It's not. We're just training in doing it. All we need to do is to find it inspiring. Okay? Like, you know, that this is for the future, to that then the more we train, the more our negative emotions who stand in the way to realize bodhicitta, the more we train, the more they lose their power over us, and the more it becomes like a natural, habitual kind of behavior. But before we behave like bodhisattva, we definitely have to train the mind in how to say? We have to train the mind in in awareness, so that we know what's going on. Yeah, and this is we're going to do now for maybe 10 minutes. You just sit with a straight back if you can, with a more or less happy mind that you're able to do this, that your body is healthy enough, even though it's a bit sick. But you can still sit. And you connect with your body. Make sure that you're sitting here relaxed, but straight, not too straight, like not tense, but relaxed. And then you bring your, you know, as Lama Yeshe says, just let your mind be where your body is in whatever way, either with the breathing or, you know, with the body posture. So whatever object you find easy to be with, then you use that. Body posture is quite gross, it's easy to find, like the awareness that the body is sitting. Breathing is a bit more subtle, breathing in, breathing out. If you are used to do any other method, I mean, there's hundreds of methods how to meditate. So there's not one that is right and the other that is wrong. They're just different. So your task basically is that you try some of them, and then whatever you feel works is, you know, best, then you do that. And you can find out what works best if you use the same object for, let's say, every day, a few weeks. Okay, you have to give it time. And then you find that it's easy for the mind to stay there, then you use that object. So I will just leave you for 10 minutes so that also you're, you know, the second part, what we need in concentration, which is vigilance to see whether you're doing what you're doing, so that this muscle, mental muscle, can develop. And also don't forget, bring some friendliness into this exercise so that your mind becomes soft, receptive, accepting, and you're ready to look and not to force anything, but also not to get lost in thoughts. And then we can do, as always, some reflection on bodhicitta, like our attitude towards like what is happening at the moment. So it's very, you know, it's actuality, the war that is going on between the Russian army and Ukraine. So we have to see our mind, whether it takes kind of, you know, it gets very involved in seeing the Ukrainians as victims, which they are at the moment. This is true. And maybe the Russian government or Putin as the aggressor, which seems like this. But then we start to understand that Really, everybody, just like me, everybody just wants to be happy. And then, you know, this we understand quite easily. But then the next question is, do we allow them to be happy? And being happy doesn't mean, you know, happiness that comes from conquering other countries and winning a war, because that just creates negative karma. Might short term, it might create a lot of happiness. But we're talking about the happiness of ethical conduct, well-being of body and mind. Happiness that comes being free of negative emotions. So everybody is searching that kind of lasting happiness. But many beings are searching in the wrong place. So our task is to recognize that, and as much as possible to help people if they allow us to do so, if they want, to actually inspire them to do mind transformation, to train in having an ethical life, meaning non-harming, even though maybe short term it can, you know, it can come with some loss. Because this will be the next verses that we're looking at. You know, when maybe you remember one verse from the 6th chapter of Patience, is when he says, why getting angry with people who don't know how to create their own happiness? They're like the children. There's no point getting angry at them. We should have compassion. That is much more appropriate. But when somebody is very aggressive, be it, you know, a world leader, somebody with power, or one of your neighbors, or even a child that is bullying other children around, it's very difficult for us to have compassion. So then to understand that they are totally standing under the control of their negative emotions. And what is happening, they are just creating a lot of negative karma for themselves. Slowly, slowly, we start to understand that these beings that are the aggressors now, they will be the victims in the future. Now, that doesn't mean that then you say, okay, they deserve it. That would be, I mean, deserve it or don't deserve it, doesn't matter, because it's like karma is not a reward and punishment kind of system. It's just a natural fact. But this should never come up, you know, they deserve it. But what we should be able to have is the compassion for the victims and the aggressors. Also understanding that the victims are not innocent people, probably in this life, yes. They haven't done anything negative, but from past lives. I mean, again, this is the Buddhist view. Many people don't agree with this. That's also fine. So you should, of course, have compassion for the victims, but also for the aggressors. And like this, the conflicts can stop. Because if we keep holding on to our imprints and tendencies of anger, you know, they're stored in our subconsciousness. Then maybe in another life, we have power. These beings that we are now angry at, and these imprints are still there, don't have power. And then we become the aggressors and they become the victims. We won't be able to recognize them. This then is this, very habitual behavior of being unkind to some, unkind to others. That's when we store these imprints and tendencies of anger. So now you look, you look at your own mind, what you just heard, what I just said. It's not easy to kind of swallow that. So how do you react? What do you think? Look at your own thoughts, look at your own opinions. Are you happy to hear that? Or let's say, do you agree with this? Or do you think this doesn't make sense? If somebody starts a conflict, one should go against this person with a lot of force, and on top of it with a lot of anger, so that the force becomes a bit stronger. Is that your view? Or do you agree with the Buddha's view? There is no, it's just a continuation of playing the role of victim, then playing the role of aggressor, and very much also sometimes trying to play the role of mediator. If you take side for one and go against the other, you won't be a good mediator. So can we recognize that even people with power and who do take terrible decisions are very selfish, and in our eyes are maybe even idiots, that they also do this because they want to be happy and they don't want to suffer, and that we decide in our own mind as much as I can, if I can inspire them to lead an ethical life, I will not exclude them from my loving kindness and compassion. Okay, so what is your view on that? Do you agree with that kind of view? That we have to transform and try, or train the mind to even include aggressors into our loving kindness and compassion. And again, don't think that compassion is just very soft and very kind of loving and you let everybody do what they want to do. If you have the force to stop somebody from doing negative things, harmful things, by all means you do, but you stop them with an attitude the same way you would stop your children. It can be very fierce, but it has to be, it has to be done with the interest of the other in your mind. Because these are the next verses that we're going to look at. I'm looking for my mouse. Yeah, what do you think? Nothing.
I think in the Tonglen it's easy to do it, but I'm not sure how easy it is to do it in practice.
Exactly. This is what we have to be aware of. It's very easy to do on the meditation cushion, but then when you see even such a child who is pulling another child, it's very difficult not to get angry and to really. This is why I think this, when you are a mother, this attitude, oh, if this is my child, what would I do now? You would definitely stop the child, but you have to actively think first like this. And And this is what I'm saying. With bodhicitta, we actively kind of transform the mind. Because we agree with this, right? I mean, if you want to develop bodhicitta, or if you have bodhicitta, you have to agree with this, that we cannot go against people, even no bad how they are, no matter how bad they are. We cannot go against them with anger and wanting to harm them. Again, try to remember what it means to be angry is a wish to harm. Okay? Okay, but it doesn't mean that you cannot be fierce. You can be very fierce with your children. So the homework was about self-confidence. You know, self-confidence, as he was saying in verse 49, I will develop self-confidence in ability, action, and then negative emotions. Like to self-confidence, I can go against my negative emotions. As Dina was saying, it's easy to do on the cushion with Tonglen. It's very difficult to do when the person is in front of you. But still, we know that we have to develop that self-confidence, that we can do it. Because why? Because we have living examples who are doing it, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, other Tibetans who have been in prison, people who have been in the Holocaust and had, beautiful attitudes and mind states. People who are in war zones but have absolutely no anger. They're rare. There are not many of them, but it exists. So if we can develop the self-confidence by thinking, if they can do it, I can also do it, then we try to train in that direction. Yeah, so that's the self-confidence to go against my own negative emotions, self-confidence in ability, so we're not overdoing it also, and the self-confidence in action. That it's not just the attitude, but it's also then the action should follow once the attitude has, it's quite firm in the mind. Is that clear? Yeah, that self-confidence is very important. Okay. So then we continue. You have questions, or is that okay? Because if you don't have questions, we just continue.
I actually have a problem, not a question.
Okay.
For me, it's very difficult to accept sentences like to kill the anger or to go against my negative emotion. Because I think when you go against your negative emotion, I think they grow bigger. That's my opinion. I think it's better to accept them and learn how to deal with them. And when you accept them, I think they get less and less. Okay.
Okay. But it's, I tell you from experience, it's also, I didn't say kill them, right? But
once I was in a Buddhist retreat of the Gelugpa, and the title was to kill the anger.
Okay, so, but again, Dina, please don't get hung up so on words. That's even the Buddha said that, you shouldn't listen to the teachings just to be on words, but try to find the meaning behind it. Because killing is quite a good word, I mean,
but it's also a violent word.
Wait. Wait. If you kind of kill something, that's it. It's finished. It's, it's useless. It cannot do anything anymore.
Okay.
Whereas if you accept something, they can sneak in from behind and again do something to you. So I think, if you just saw the title, then okay. But but then if you maybe listen to the teachings, then maybe it became a bit more clear. So again, this is why we did the reflection at the beginning. You check what works for you. I mean, come on, the Buddha gave 84,000 teachings. They are not going all in the same direction. They actually, some of them are quite contradictory. At one point he told us a prince who had killed his mother and father. He told him, "Oh, good thing that you killed your mother and father." Wow. The Buddha said this to a prince. Do you know why?
Why?
I'm asking you now. You know why? Because this prince was so overcome by guilt that there was no way he could look at his own mind. So first the Buddha had to calm him down. And then he used actually this thing. You killed your mother and your father, but actually what you have to kill is your emotions. So actually the sentence comes from the Buddha. to kill the emotions. That's what he told this prince. And also I remember Lama Zopa Rinpoche, at one point there was this lady who was totally overcome with guilt, because she had had 2 abortions. And usually, killing somebody in Buddhist thing is like a terrible thing. So she went to confess to Lama Zopa. And Lama Zopa burst out laughing. And he said, oh, wow, that's nothing. If you would know what you've done in past lives, this is nothing. And that was to make her more relaxed. So it's very, very, Buddhism, you cannot take it like black and white. This is what the Buddha is saying. Take it as if you would be examining gold, If you have a lump of dirt, first you have to wash it, to see that behind it is really dirt. Then you have to cut it, you have to rub it, you have to burn it, he actually says. And that means take my teachings, put them into practice, and then if they work for you, it's fine. If they don't work for you, then just leave it. So, you're right on one hand. This is the thing with the Buddhist teachings. There's always, in conventional reality, there's always one. This is why one can argue about conventional truth so much. When you argue with somebody, or your children, they argue with you. You tell them you have to do this because blah, 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 blah. And then they tell you, no, I'm not going to do this because blah, 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 blah. And both have very good arguments. Why? Because nothing exists as black and white. There is always, the glass is half full or is half empty. So a bit like this. So if you find that if you go against your negative emotions, it makes them stronger. I don't know. I was an alcoholic. And so the desire to drink is definitely still there. If I accept it and give in, I will never stop. So I really have to, in cases like this, you really have to bite.
But it doesn't mean give in. It only means look at it in a different angle. I think, Thich Nhat Hanh was also a Buddhist. He said that anger is a flower of fire.
Yeah, sure. It's just
and
energy.
He said, and Chogyam Trungpa said, take the energy and dance with it.
Yeah.
He talks about negative emotions.
Yeah, but
he didn't mean embrace them, but don't feel so guilty that you got angry. Look at your anger.
But nobody tells you to feel.
It.
Nobody tells you to feel guilty. I mean, the mental factor guilt doesn't even exist in the Buddhist thing. It's us, this is us, our interpretation of the whole thing. Actually, if you know what negative emotions do to you, because they're creating all the suffering, you should have compassion for yourself and not feel guilty. That would be the Buddha's teachings, and not just Thich Nhat Hanh and Chogyam Trungpa, but everybody's. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so then we continue with the verses because we have about 20 to go and we have 3 more evenings. Okay, so this one we looked at, self-confidence should be applied to wholesome actions, to overcoming of disturbing conceptions and my ability to do this, okay? Like the confidence that I can overcome my negative emotions. This is what it says here. And thinking I alone shall do it, even if nobody helps me, is the self-confidence of action. And this is not just my negative emotions, but also negative emotions of others. And now here he talks about other beings. So powerless, their minds disturbed, people in this world are unable to benefit themselves. Therefore, I shall do it for them, since unlike me, these beings are incapable. So again, you can look at this in a different way. You can say, oh, wow, he's really proud. He's saying, oh, I'm the only one who knows how to deal with my negative emotions. The others don't. So therefore, I go and help them. Does that sound like this to you, or does it sound a bit different? How does that sound? Huh?
Sounds like, to me, it sounds a little bit like this.
Yeah, right. So, but is it true or is it not true?
I don't I don't know.
To me, it
Well,
sounds.
if you look, I mean, sorry, Noah?
To me, it sounds that I know how to deal with my negative emotions, but
Yeah.
and you know how to deal with yours. It's everyone his own.
No, that's not. I don't think that's what it's meant. No,
but
powerless, their minds disturbed means the others. People in this world are unable to benefit themselves. It's quite clear. He talks about other beings. Therefore, I shall do it for them. Since, unlike me, these beings are incapable. So again, it's about bodhicitta. It's not about whatever. So I will become a Buddha. So I will inspire them. You see, who inspired you? Maybe remember, who inspired you to do these things, to work with your mind? Who was it?
My friend, who was practicing Buddhism for 11 years.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody who does it.
He handed to me a book of Pema Chodron.
Yeah.
When Things Fall Apart.
Yeah.
And asked me to read it.
Yeah.
And I read it. And I must admit that at this time, I thought she is not writing very well because I didn't understand anything what she was saying. And my friend was compassionate enough not to tell me anything. I realized only after several years of practicing that I really didn't understand anything what she was saying.
Yeah.
But then he told me, the Geshe Michael Rosh is giving a talk in Tel Aviv. Maybe you would like to go. And then there is a retreat. Maybe you would like to go. And I went to the, I think, most difficult teaching of Buddhism, which was about emptiness. And I didn't understand anything. And I was fortunate that it didn't scare me, and I continued to go.
Okay. Yeah, so this is what I mean, we can only be inspired by people who are living this. Otherwise, somebody's talking about patients, but they're very impatient or very self-concerned and very selfish. And, how are they going to inspire? So what what Noah said is, in a way, is a bit right. I will attain enlightenment in order to then be able to inspire people to also practice ethical conduct. Yeah. This whole thing about not killing mosquitoes, if it wouldn't have been for the Buddhists, I would definitely still kill mosquitoes, and it's killing. So I needed somebody to inspire me to change my habits. So here he is saying, I will do this for the sake of others, not just for my own sake, because at the moment they don't understand how to do this. So, just to know that you know how to do things better than others is not necessarily arrogance. It's just you have more skills than others. We are interested in Buddhism. We started with Buddhism. We do mind transformation. So it's okay to feel good about this. Yeah. So a bit like that. So it's kind of taking responsibility. I'm not doing this just for myself, but I see all these other beings who are running after their own suffering. And they don't know, so therefore they don't know how to create happiness. So therefore I will inspire them, or I will develop my own mind, as Noah said, that is true, to then be able to help them as well to develop their mind, because we have to influence them somehow. They have to follow us somehow, because otherwise what's the point? Okay, I just continue. If you want to say something, you're very welcome to do so.
Maybe if I look at it related to the context, I can see it different. It's like this photo that you can see the old woman or the young woman, or the two face or profile. There are more than one way to see or to understand. And if you see only one angle, and someone take the curtain from the other angle, then you can shift from one to other. You can see all the angles. Now I can see it. Now I can see it like someone wants to help others, not like proud of himself.
I can give you Pema Chodron's commentary on this, because maybe you remember a few verses before, he was saying, "You're good for nothing." You know, he was saying to himself, "All you created was your mother's pains." So you see, he kind of plays it with himself. He plays with his own mind. Sometimes kind of, you know, getting his arrogance down, and sometimes building himself up. So she says, although Shantideva has claimed that he's not fit for this path, he is now remembering his positive pride. He looks around and realizes he has a better chance than most, meaning a better chance to attain enlightenment than most of the people around us. You know, when Elisheva was asking, why isn't everybody practicing this? Why? But we are these few who are practicing these things. It doesn't mean that you have to become arrogant about it, but all the skills we have, it's really good to be happy about them, and then think, wow, great, I have so many skills. I want to benefit others with the skills I have. Yeah, so a bit like this. Some people have absolutely no problem slandering, hating, or even murdering their enemies. Is that true or not? It's definitely true. You know, people, they use their speech in such a way all the time, you know, to slander, to abuse, to be angry, harsh words, all this. It never remotely occurred to them to work on their way of thinking and their emotions. Compared to these unfortunate people, he is confident that he can follow the Bodhisattva path. So it's not to look down on others or to put them down or to feel better about ourselves. It's to say, wow, luckily I have access to this path. I have interest, so therefore I'm going to practice this for the benefit of these others. Even if others are doing inferior tasks, why should I sit here doing nothing? I do not do these tasks because of self-importance. It would be best for me to have no such pride. Now it's up to you. Can you guess what this is all about? It might be difficult. You might not be able to find it. What do you think he's talking about? What are inferior tasks? What would you know, somebody who has an inferior job, who would that be? What do you consider inferior job? You don't think there's any inferior jobs?
Inferior in what way?
Well, what do you think? Yeah, I'm not giving you the answer.
The Dalai Lama is inferior.
No. Inferior is lower. Low.
Inferior is not.
Superior is the one is higher.
Okay.
Inferior is lower.
Yahud.
Okay.
So what do you consider an inferior job, for example, tasks or works?
Butcher. A butcher.
A butcher?
Maybe.
Okay. What about the cleaning woman who comes to clean your house or somebody else's house?
I don't know. I never thought it was inferior task.
Okay.
I actually think she's doing very well.
Would you do it? Would you do it? Because here she's saying, you know, I see others doing
Yeah,
these
if I didn't have money, sure.
I did it for some time.
Okay.
When I was a student.
And so why didn't you continue to do it?
Because I was a student. I studied what I wanted to do, and and I did that.
So maybe the cleaning was in a way not good enough for you.
It's not a question of good or bad. It's a question for what is interesting for me. Cleaning is not so interesting.
So you think
although
so you think for every cleaning woman, her work is very interesting?
No.
That they do it out of choice?
No, she do it after.
No, I think if you don't have choice, you will do what you need to do to a new.
Yeah. But do you think if she would have a choice, do you think she would do it?
No.
I don't think so. Also, I know one that she would do it.
There's always exceptions, okay? I also have a good friend of mine. She was a nurse, but then she said, oh, this is, then she went to clean and she's very happy with this. There's always exceptions, but in general.
And I can say for cooking, I don't like cooking, for example. I don't like the kitchen, but there are people that love it and this is their work.
Yeah.
I can also sometimes find a very comforting cleaning when I'm very excited.
Yeah. I'm talking about jobs here. I'm not talking about your pastime, you know.
I also think that not that cleaning is inferior.
Don't we have, are you really that equanimous that you do not think that some jobs are inferior? Gosh, you're all very, very realized.
I think there are jobs that considered inferior, because if you didn't study anything, if you didn't, if you don't have occupation, honorable occupation, if we can say it, so you will go to do what you don't have to study for. No, most of the people don't like.
I think I understood. You have. There's nobody who does inferior jobs for you. Everybody is totally equanimous. Every job is very important. And I'm being a bit cynical now, but that's what you were telling me. Ariella, you're raising your hand.
In regards to inferior and what we see and don't see inferior, I think that this is a place to practice compassion. Let's take the words.
This is what he's saying. If you look at the verse.
I would like to, if we can take an example, a prostitute. I mean, of course, that no woman, I think, freely would like to. So the last thing I would feel towards a prostitute is a superiority. I would only feel compassion, because if we're looking for the lowest of the lowest, I think selling your body is lower than going and robbing a bank.
Yeah, this we don't
maybe
know.
Taking a life, but let's not get into it. Another life.
Okay, look, but that's what he's saying, you know, for him, he sees that, you know, in society, okay, maybe not in your mind, but in society, there is people who do inferior tasks, right? For example, because he's in India, and then there's castes, right? So there's the caste of those people who, I think they work with leather or something. That's one of the worst things. Or cleaning also, and you know, why should I sit here doing nothing? Now, what he's saying, why should I let these people do work for me? This is basically what he's saying. I do not do these tasks because of self-importance. It would be best for me to have no such pride. Okay, so to think, you know, when you see these people, and then you go like, oh wow, I'm glad I don't have to do this. I'm much better like this. Again, you know, you're not having these thoughts very consciously. I'm really sure. But sometimes we have to see how we put people into categories. You know, I mean, if a professor, maybe again, you know, I don't know, maybe you are so realized. But if you go to a party with very important people, and you're very good friends with your cleaning woman, she's your best friend, and you take her with you, and you say, you know, somebody asks her, what's your job? And she says cleaning. Would you feel the same as if the best friend you're taking with you is a professor? Yes, you would feel totally the same. Wow, bravo.
Because if I will go with her, it's because I feel comfortable with her. So it doesn't matter her profession.
You never felt embarrassed about your friends? Never ever?
Yes, because they acted stupid for a minute, but I know them. They're intelligent. They're fun. We all make stupid mistakes.
So why were you embarrassed?
well, for that minute, and then, you know, we move on, and you know, it in the future it stays maybe like a fun memory, that embarrassment.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's, I think for you this verse is totally irrelevant, because you don't have this self-importance to feel better than other people who do lower jobs.
Anila,
Yeah.
I want to say something, because I think that everyone is being honest here, really, and I think that embarrassment, if my friend will come and will be full of his ego and is not sensitive to others, I think that in a way, yes, this practice makes you like and dislike or feel superior. It changes it, because when you're in a place, party with full of professors, I think the aversion will be, for me, maybe it's a discrimination towards the people that has this self-importance, and for me it's harder not to feel superior for people like that, in a way. So this, I need work in that direction.
Okay, good. Well, so then, you know, if you already mastered it, then that's fine. But by the way, this is also a verse for monks. So don't forget, he's talking to monks. So, you know, like if you look not so much in the Tibetan, but in the Thai tradition, all the monks are being served, and they don't do any of these lower jobs. So he's kind of telling them, but you know, you should not, it's okay not to do it because it's in the vows, but don't feel superior. This is basically, so for you, you know, it's like, try to see when you see somebody cleaning the street, collecting the garbage, or do whatever, try to see if you really don't feel superior. If you, whenever you see them, you have a heart which is, yeah, I see, thank you. If you ever, you know, every time you hear the garbage people and say, you have a heart full of appreciation and say, wow, thank you very much for taking my garbage, because that would be the appropriate way. But again, you know, it's like if you say that you never have this feeling of feeling superior when you see other people doing inferior jobs, it's fine. Then we don't need to discuss it. We only need to discuss things that you can't do. You know, I see that I have that sometimes, that feeling of being superior when I see people, you know, no, it's very subtle. It's very, very subtle. But if you don't have it, it's perfect. We don't need to discuss it further. Okay? Einat, you still want to say something, or is it okay?
I want to say that you were talking about caste and about occupation. Many years ago.
Wait. I was talking about caste, but not about occupation.
Yes, but when you ask about the cleaning woman or the how do you say Shin Gimel? The guardian that guard the entrance of any of some places.
Yeah.
Like occupation that doesn't need any
occupation in terms of job.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I thought occupation, you know, occupation.
It's because of French. It's mixed. I mix. Occupation. Alors. Voilà. So you talked about profession and castes. So many years ago, Edward and I were in Nepal, and we were visiting one man. This guy, he was a lawyer.
Yeah.
And he lived in a room in the size of a bed and a half. And that's it. Yeah. So he was sitting on the bed. Edward and I had a chair, each one of us. And we were talking to him. And he said, although I'm a lawyer. I studied laws. But since I came from a low caste, I will never be able to go up in the society, social and I think maybe at that time I remember it always, and before that and maybe sometimes after that I thought sometimes, he just did that and that, but I think the more I got into Buddhism, and the more people I knew, and it also related to something else here in Israel, especially that the big Russian immigration brought here many
very professional, educated people that are cleaning our
musician, physician, mathematicians, and they until today you can find people that standing that are guarding a parking place, and they were like pianists. So if you start talking to them just like this, and you see that what they do doesn't relate at all to who they are.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So that's a very good example. But we very often, I mean, I'm not saying we now, I say me, or society quite often, we see somebody doing a so-called inferior task, and that's what that person becomes, because we don't know, we don't look behind. Yeah. So that's what he said. Be careful of that. Just because you are a monk, actually, he's talking to monks. Okay. So he's saying, just because you are a monk, be careful that you're not looking at other people who do inferior tasks with this kind of self-importance by thinking, look at me, I'm a monk. Yeah. And again, for us, it's quite subtle. And I'm sure you're very compassionate and you're open to all sentient beings. But sometimes we do have a tendency to reduce people to color, education, where they're from. I mean, it's very easy for us to talk because we're all white-skinned people. We all have white skin. If you would have dark skin, then I have friends, who are from Sierra Leone. And when you ask them how they were treated, very often in a very disrespectful way, just because they were Black. So maybe we should use that instead of lowly job, like where they come from or whatever. So anyway, it's just a warning to look at your mind. And if you look at somebody and you feel that, wow, I am superior to them, then look at your mind and say, hey, but good thing that these people do these jobs. Edouard, you have a big grin on your face. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I'd like to say what you said. Well, it's subtle and sometimes not so subtle. We can just ask ourselves, although we all state that if we have children, what is important is that they'll be happy. But if we look at our child and our children and we think, will he be, will she be a cleaning lady, or will he be guarding a parking lot, or we would prefer him or her to be a doctor or a professor.
Yeah.
So it's not that that's fine. He's
yeah, that's a very good example. Maybe not for people who are not, have not much to do with us, but when it comes to our own children, we try at least to convince them. But maybe this is not a dream job to go as a cleaning lady. Yeah, I have when I'm in Bern, and when I go to the House of Religions, I usually come back quite late, like 10 o'clock at night. For me, that's late. And then you have the people asking for money in the street. And of course, they know me. So then I usually talk to them and we try to make them laugh or something like this. Of course, this doesn't work if you don't give them money. So first you have to give them money. Just giving them kindness. They're not so that terribly interested. And so I was with a friend at one point and we were waiting for the bus. And then this woman who always comes, it's always the same. And she's really known in the city. And so she said, this and that. And then the friend of mine, she said to her, she said, oh, why don't you go to work? And she said, this is my work. I am working now. This is my job. Can you imagine what a difficult job that is? Nobody says thank you for begging. like, oh, I'm so happy I can give you something. You enable me to practice generosity. Nobody goes like this. You should actually, every time you feel that somebody is embarrassed of begging, you should thank them for you being able to practice generosity, because begging is also a job in a way. And but in general, and then they get all the, the Buddhists are in general quite kind to the beggars, but sometimes also not, when it's not convenient, we're also not so kind. Okay, so we got this one. Yeah, to try to see our subtle way of being. You see, these two verses actually goes together. Here he says, I'm going to help others. And here he says, yeah, but, don't get too proud of your self-importance that you're the only one who can do that. So again, he's just evening himself out. When crows encounter a dying snake, they will act as though they were eagles. Likewise, if my self-confidence is weak, I shall be injured by the slightest downfall. Here, the self-confidence that he is applying, you remember this tree? Self-confidence, ability, action, and going against, or, dealing with, or how shall I say it? So Dina is happy with me. Accepting his negative emotions and dealing with them, not giving in. So here it's the self-confidence of not giving in to his delusions. So he says, basically what it means, if my self-confidence is weak, I will get angry by the slightest thing. Yeah, and so it will be like, crow. I don't know why he's taking crows, because crows, I like crows. They're very intelligent birds. But crows are not eagles, okay? Everybody knows crows, like these black birds. Everybody knows eagles. So eagles or garudas, they can go against snakes. Whether the snake is alive or not alive, they go and attack them, and they have a lot of courage. When the snake is already dying or already dead, the crows are coming, like very strong, and they, with a lot of self-importance and hacking onto this half-dead snake. So when our self-confidence is low, our negative emotions have a lot of power over us. So this is basically what it means. Yeah. Okay. So this is why self-confidence, that I can deal with these negative emotions. I don't have to give in. This is very important, because otherwise the smallest thing, is the smallest incident becomes a downfall. Like I create more negative karma with my reaction. How can those who out of faint-heartedness have given up trying find liberation because of this deficiency? But even the greatest obstacle will find it hard to overcome, one with self-confidence who is developing exertion. So again, it's the same thing. He says, like, if you keep giving up and starting again and giving up and starting something new and giving up and starting something new, how can you ever attain liberation? But if you have this kind of self-confidence that even the greatest obstacle will find it hard to overcome, one with self-confidence who is developing exertion. So again, don't forget, it's about diligence, it's about joyful effort, it's about enthusiasm to develop our mind. Like, I just came across by coincidence today the Sanskrit word of this, this perfection that we don't know whether we should call it diligence, perseverance, joyful effort, or enthusiasm, is virya. So virya inside has also the word of joy or enthusiasm. So maybe we should be happy and enthusiastic about doing things that will lead us to liberation and enlightenment. This is what it means. Not enthusiastic in robbing a bank or killing somebody or, cheating people or things like that. Because I don't know if you remember, it says at the beginning, the more enthusiasm you have, the easier it becomes, and then the more positive karma you create. And at the beginning also it says, this enthusiasm is like the wind in your sails to go across the ocean of samsara. These were the first few verses where he stresses that when we do something which we call dharma, that we should do it with joy. Now, again, maybe joy is better than enthusiasm, because with enthusiasm, we think we have to overdo it or exaggerate or something like that, but it's mainly joy. Yeah, like children when they're playing, you know, then you call them, come in, it's, you know, a kind of dinner is ready, and they go, no, 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 we want to continue. So basically, this is where we want to get at, you know, but again, it's like, don't forget, there's also rest. Yeah, so don't overdo it. Is that more or less clear here? That how important self-confidence is on this path? Not to give up, because it is a difficult path, and it will take a long time for us to get there. And many people give up in this life. They might take it on again next life, but many people start and then they stop. Yeah, I remember, I think it was in Bar at one point. We had a young man after, you know, when we met Netta, you remember when we did the longer courses? So I think it was a 1 week or even a 10-day course. And so we had one young man, and then at the end he came and he said, oh, wow, you know, it's very nice what you're saying. It sounds very good, but I think I'm going back to smoking dope. That's much easier to be happy. Yeah, I mean, for so many people, it's too difficult. So we should be, without looking down on others, we should really be happy that we're still at it. We're still there. I have to stop soon because my voice is going. So therefore, with a steady mind, I shall overcome all falls. When we fall down, we pick ourselves up again and we just continue. For if I'm defeated by a fall, my wish to vanquish the three realms will become a joke. You know, when we take refuge, and we say, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I attain enlightenment. Why do I want to do this? In order to benefit all sentient beings. So if we keep saying this, but we don't really practice, then it becomes like a joke. The three realms are the desire realm, the form, and the formless realm. So if you study philosophy, you will know that, you know, each one becomes more subtle as you go up with your concentration. So he makes very strong commitments to himself, which is, if you find it helpful, then you use them. If you find that it puts you under stress, then you don't use them, because it's not for you to be stressed out. It should be joyful, don't forget. I will conquer everything, and nothing at all shall conquer me. I, a son of the lion-like conqueror, should remain self-confident in this way. So the more you know the Buddhist teachings, the more you know how logic this is, the more you know the path, the more you know how this really works well together, the more you have confidence that you can also do it, right? So if you look at bodhicitta, you know, anybody can develop bodhicitta. You don't need diploma. It doesn't matter what color skin you have, women, men, doesn't matter where you're from. So this is why I like bodhicitta very much. It's not exclusive. Everybody can develop it who has interest in developing it.
This is why I like Buddhism.
Huh?
This is why I like Buddhism. It's something very special to the Buddhism, and being so non-judgmental throughout the path makes it so much welcoming, even though the work gets harder. Well, not harder, deeper. But just knowing that nobody's judging me is this is what helps me to stay on the path.
Okay, very good, nice. So you know, there's a question coming up in me. I've had plenty of doubts, you know, where it says, I will conquer everything and nothing at all shall conquer me. I, a son of or daughter of the lion-like conqueror, should remain self-confident in this way. Have you ever had doubts on your path? Have you ever had a feeling that, you know, this is too difficult? Or no? Also no.
Yes, of course.
Then you're still quite new. If you're still quite new, if you never had doubts. How do you deal with your doubts?
How do I deal with it? I don't know how to deal with it really. sometimes it's like it goes, sometimes it's coming again, and sometimes I feel like, I mean, especially the last time, I feel that the Dharma is working for me. And so it's together. I mean, it's ups and downs. Along the path, sometimes I feel doubt, but sometimes I feel like I got proof that the Dharma is working, especially the last time.
Yeah, that's nice.
Because
I had a lot of doubts also, but I see that every time I have doubts, I have to work with it, and really actively, kind of, do I really want to do this, and what's the benefit, what's the shortcoming, da da da. Another good question, do I have a choice? I have no choice. If I want to be happy, I have no choice. This I understood. If I want to be happy, I have to get rid of my negative emotions. It's no other way. And so for me, this helped very much. Or, sometimes we can be, quite surprising. If you do long retreats, and long, I mean 1 month plus, okay, you have a lot of negative emotions coming up. Really, I mean, you can talk to anybody. Netta just did Vipassana retreat, didn't you? Was it all enthusiasm and happiness all the time?
It was so hard.
Right.
To meet myself,
wonderful.
no distractions. Very hard.
Yeah. You see, we have these wonderful ideas. We're in busy life and running, doing. And then we think, oh, when I'm in retreat, everything will be calm. Wow. It's not like this. It can be, but most of the time it's not, because we take our busy mind with, and then the busy mind has nothing to scratch on. You see, our desires or distractions, they are like a wound that that itches. When you scratch it, it's pleasant. It's very pleasant to scratch an itch. When you go into retreat, your hands are tied and you can't scratch the wounds, and you have to look at your mind. And that can be very painful. Yeah, can be very painful. But then, so that's the moment where we say, oh, good thing I saw them. And now I know where I am, and I see my expectations that retreats should be happy and peaceful and all this, but it is not. So because it's actually in a retreat, it's much better not to feel too good, because it's the perfect opportunity to work with these things. As Dina was saying, in daily life, to let your negative emotions arise, to deal with them in a skillful way is very, very difficult, because the object is right there. You have to react and all this. Whereas in the retreat, you're sitting on your cushion. You can look at that mental state. You can see its nature. It's going to fizzle out. You can see that your ego wants to feed it. It doesn't want it to fizzle out. It wants to, it's very exciting to think about the situation and how bad it was and how terrible the person is, if it's anger or hurt or things like that. So actually in the retreat, that these negative things are coming up is quite a good thing, because then we can work with them, as Dina was saying, in a very skillful way, without harming anybody, without hurting anybody, without having to feel bad that I exploded in their face, and so on. So, and even if you cannot totally eliminate them, your negative emotion, even just trying, that is Buddhism. That's the Dharma. Trying to accept them, to work with them in a skillful way, not to ignore them, but also not to collaborate with them. And you can't. In retreat, you can't, because you're in silence. You have your sessions, you cannot go out and get drunk or smoke dope or whatever. And so you're faced with it. But it can be very difficult. And if we work with them, slowly, they lose their power. This is what Hila is saying. Slowly, we see that they're working. That huh?
I'm worried about you.
About what? About my voice?
Not feeling well and exhausting, and afterwards you'll collapse or something.
Yeah, we'll collapse. It's your fault. So what can I do?
You can finish the
we
lesson.
finished.
Maybe we can stop now.
Yeah, we stop. So anyway.
And go and bring ginger, honey, lemon tea.
Yeah, I have, like, in
Vitamin C is good.
Huh? Vitamin C. Yeah, I take everything. Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. What else do I have then? Mint oil I have, and hot ginger lemon, of course, with honey I have everything. Not to worry, but it takes time. It's like with the negative emotions. You can swallow a lot of things, but it just takes time. So that's okay. So, but I just wanted to say, that we have negative emotions is not the problem. We have them, whether we want or not, unless we have not, if we haven't attained if we haven't realized emptiness, we just have them. Important is that we don't collaborate with them. Collaborating means we see the negative emotions, we keep our mouth shut, and we keep our body still while they are there. Yeah. Even though they were, the Shempa, this kind of push from behind, needing to say something now, of course, to clarify the situation. We have always a good reason why we want to say something. We go, no, I will not say anything now. I wait until I calm down. Sounds easy, difficult to do. Okay. What was the next verse? Just have a look. Because I need to give you a homework, isn't it? Whoever has self-importance is destroyed by it. He's disturbed and has no self-confidence. For those with self-confidence do not succumb to the power of the enemy, whereas the former are under the sway of enemy of self-importance. Okay, the homework is what we already had. When you feel good about yourself, try to see whether it's arrogance or self-confidence. Yeah, it's so subtle. I tell you, I was in the Dosa bar today with somebody. And of course, I say, of course. It's not of course. So the owner recognized me and he said, you're back and blah, blah, blah. Then I felt, he recognizes me. That's arrogance. If it goes into a bit more kind of self-confidence, I could think, okay, it seems to make him happy to see me. So may he be happy, may he be well. But, it's just me. He recognizes me. So when I see it, then I don't, it doesn't sink into the subconsciousness and it doesn't make more imprints. I saw it and it's fine. I don't feel guilty about it. I'm not ashamed. I just saw it. And this is these subtle things that we have to take out. Yeah. And with the self-importance now, when you see somebody doing either, maybe have no education, maybe doing lowly jobs, maybe belong, I don't know. When you look at them, check your feelings, see whether you feel oneness, like the meditation we did at the beginning. All want happiness, nobody wants to suffer. Whether the happiness of that person is for you just as important than the happiness of your best friend. I have to admit, there was a woman once in Tushita, but many years ago, and I felt she wanted to be friends with me, but she was so impossible. She had a lot of anger. She abused everybody. She was totally self-concerned. And I felt I didn't want to be friends with her. And I had to see it in order to change it. First, it was just an instinct. No, she's not a nice person. I keep away from her. But afterwards, I saw the reason. I didn't want to be recognized as a friend. So this is what I'm talking about. Everybody wants your friend. You say yes, and you take them to the parties. Fine with me. But I doubt that this is really the case, to be honest. But maybe it's not. Maybe you are totally equanimous. When I walk to the train station in Bern, and then the homeless people, sometimes they wave at me. I have people with me who ask me do you know them? I say, yeah. Because I can see myself in their place also. That's why. But still I feel superior. I do. I feel superior to them. It's a very innate thing,
In what way do you feel superior? What do you mean by
I am better than them. I am better than them.
maybe you're luckiest.
Yeah. But it's still, there's this kind of, this separation still a little bit, you see. Oh, poor things. Am I glad I'm not there anymore? Although I was never homeless, okay? I had a lot of money when I was drinking. I was only drinking champagne and red wine and Armagnac and cognac and Dom Perignon. I guess you know, yeah. I was very snobbish.
Only champagne.
Not only champagne, but a lot of it. Okay, now also red wine and okay, anyway. So let's dedicate. Let's dedicate all the positive energy that we have generated, that we really start to understand where the problem is, even if there's very subtle, you know, this superiority, inferiority, because it creates separation, because then we're not equanimous. And so it might be that you're already there, that you treat everybody in the same way, like meeting somebody with a lot of joy, as if you would be meeting your best friend. If you do that with everybody, then you have equanimity. But sometimes it's not like this, and we make choices, and we make some kind of, we make some kind of difference between them. So the homework is, as I said, you know, I will be the victor over all, nothing shall prevail and bring me down. No, that wasn't the one. Thus, whom arrogance and pride destroys are thus defiled. They lack proud confidence. So they fall into the power of an evil pride, but those with true pride will escape the enemy. Okay? So to really check again this week, when is it self-confidence and when is it kind of subtle arrogance? And when do I make a separation that I don't have with the people I call friends? Okay? Maybe be able to do this, maybe be able to attain enlightenment really, really quickly, and then be able to inspire others to go on this path, to stop harming others, to do, ethical conduct, not because we force them, but we are inspired by them, and then it will work. And we will have a happier place to live. Okay. Thank you very much. And maybe see you in Farmonash, I don't know, Saturday.
In Estiona, Monday.
Huh? In Estiona, Monday. Okay, great. That's Monday evening, Estiona. Then Farmonash is on Saturday. And then the Friday after. Okay. Take care. And
take care of yourself.
May you be full of self-confidence.
Feel well.
Feel well.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
ערב טוב.
Bye. Thank you. לילה טוב.